So good. I'm so good. I'm excited. Hello, everyone. Hello, Saman. Love to see some familiar faces. Hello, Emily. Hi, Bailey. Hi, Ella. All right. I'm just going to let everyone in. Hello, everyone. Yay! Yay, 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 yay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, this is so exciting. I need to calm down. Welcome, everyone. I would love to hear in the chat box, as always, what brought you here? What do you most what resonated the most for you with this training and with this topic? Because it's kind of a new one for me. I don't feel like I've ever really spoken into personal power as such, but it is coming through me so strongly at the moment. Hello, Shelley. Nice to see you. Aw. Hi, Amanda. All right, we've got some new faces. We've got some existing faces, and I'm excited. So let me know in the chat what brought you here, why this is calling you at the moment, what's present for you at the moment. It's going to be an action-packed 3 days, and I want to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. Or perhaps you're just here because you have no idea, but something in the words just jumped out at you. Yay. Okay, awesome. Oh, thanks, Courtney. So excited to have you in the next round of Selfish. Yay. Rebecca just graduated Selfish, the last round. So you're in good company. So did Emily. She's down in the bottom corner. All right, where are my notes? I'm just gonna organize myself. Oh, the solar plexus. Yes. My gosh, I haven't even talked about that in the training, but maybe I'll weave that into the next couple of days. So much to cover. So what my intention is, let me just rearrange my windows. What my intention is to, hold on, one thing at a time. There we go. That's better. This is all recorded as well, so you'll get the recording sent out probably today. So if you can't stay for the whole time, just know that that's available to you. It might be that you want to watch it back anyway, because sometimes when we're listening to something, we don't really, take it all in. We only ever take in about 30% of what we're listening to. So you're not going to get 100% today, and that is okay. So, but what my intention is over the next 3 days is just to deliver so much valuable content and just to really expand your understanding of what personal power is and take away some tools in order to grow your emotional intelligence, to grow your self-awareness, to plug energy leaks, which is one of my favorite things to do and is really topical for me at the moment, noticing all of the areas in my life in which I need to kind of clean things up, tighten things up a little bit. And yeah, what we're going to do is each day of the training, it'll be about 30 minutes of the training, and then I want to leave space at the end for about 30 minutes of Q&A and discussion to ask any questions. If you don't feel comfortable taking yourself off mute and asking the question, you can use the chat box. You can use the chat box to chat throughout as well. I'd love to have your engagement in there as well. It makes it more of a two-way street for me rather than me just kind of talking to a computer screen. So that's what we're doing. And also, all of you, I believe, are members of the Higher Ground community. So you can, what I'll do at the end of each training is I'll put up a thread inside the community so you can comment and keep the discussion going. You can ask any other questions. People who are watching the replay can ask their questions in there. And let's really keep this topic alive. I'm a massive fan of masterminding. So a mastermind is essentially my program Selfish, is bringing people together to have these powerful conversations. So we all contribute to that conversation. We all contribute to this conversation about personal power, and everyone's voice is so valid. So we also have this Thursday night. So before I kick off, this Thursday night, we have our monthly healing hour inside a Higher Ground. So that's our monthly session, which I lead, where we do future visioning, Rebecca's favorite. We do breath work. We do whatever is needed. I feel like this, I'll tap into what this full moon is all about. So I'll weave some of that into the evening as well. But it's just a really great space to just like release anything, let go of everything, and anchor into the newness of the new moon cycle ahead. So I'd love to see some of you there. It's at 8 o'clock, and you just register via the events tab in the community. All right, hi Carlin. Let's kick off. So, what is personal power? So, your personal power, and I think before I dive into that, I feel like the word power can have some negative connotations, right? We probably think of A Devil Wears Prada, and we think of Anna Wintour and power being used to in a shadowy way. And I've certainly had experiences of working for powerful women who used their power in a way that wasn't in integrity and wasn't kind and wasn't all of the things that we want power to be. So today I really want to reframe power and to create safety and deeper meaning around what it actually is. And actually one really great resource to learn more about this is a book called oh my god, I do this every time, Unbound. Fuck, is that what it's called? I'll share it with you after, but essentially it's a book that's written by a dominatrix, and she talks to power in kind of like dominatrix terms, but it's so it's so translatable. Unbound, is that what it's called? Something like that. Anyway, so your personal power is your personal agency. So it's your sense of control over your life and over your circumstances and over your ability to really create and call in and manifest and do anything that is truly on your heart. And so many of us feel as if our sense of agency is lacking or is perhaps not at the capacity that we want it to be. And there's so many disempowering forces at play in terms of like the oh my god, what's my word? Oh my god. Brain fart. What's that thing? Anyway, I'll come back to it. Basically the society that we live in and the conditioning that is placed upon women to be a certain way, to be demure, to be well behaved, to be quiet, to be good girls, to be this, to be that, to be the wives, to be, and all of that is really disempowering. And it's really held us back from being able to fully step into our power and own who it is, what it is that we are as women, and our potentiality. And so often we place caps on our potential. So our potential is limitless. Every single one of you, your potential is literally limitless. Yet we live in a world that has placed caps on our potential and placed upper limits on what we're capable of. And so we tend to live within those constructs. I still can't think of the word. My God, it's doing my head in. Rebecca, you know what I'm talking about. The patriarchy. Christ. The patriarchy, right, is this kind of construct around what women are capable of and what we should do and who we should be and how we should show up and blah, 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 which is entirely disempowering. So your personal power is your sense of agency over your life, sense of control. It is your confidence, and tomorrow I'll talk more about what unconditional confidence is all about, and I'll debunk some myths around what confidence is, because every single person has been gifted or has been born with the same capacity for confidence. It's just that some of us have learned how to utilize it and create it and build it and foster it, and some of us haven't. And part of that is internal, so our own sort of nurture, and then part of that is, or nature, and then part of that is the environment that we are brought up in, which is the nurture part. So it's our personal agency, it's our confidence. It's a feeling of feeling energetically aligned. So I'm sure all of you know what I mean when I say alignment or what it means to be aligned, but perhaps you don't feel as if you've ever actually felt that way, as if your relationships are aligned, your finances are aligned, your health, your, friendships, all of the things. It can often feel like one of those areas is perhaps out of alignment. And personal power is about recognizing that you have the ability to bring everything into alignment through your own actions. Because so often we are waiting for things outside of us to change. We're waiting for circumstances to change, or the political environment, or the weather, or the, whatever it is, something outside of us to change in order for us to feel better, in order for us to feel more aligned, in order for us to feel as if we have a deeper sense of control. But it's simply not the truth. It's simply not the truth. We have all of that within us, and often our alignment is just a perspective shift away. It's just an awareness away. And so today I really want to talk to building self-awareness, and my selfish graduates have, we've done self-awareness till the cows come home. And it's a never-ending journey. So you will still be building your self-awareness when you're 70, 80 years old. And that's one of our greatest gifts as human beings. And one of our most untapped gifts is our self-awareness. And I'll come to that soon, what that is and how we build that. But personal power is about feeling full and sovereign in yourself. So sovereignty is having strength and conviction behind your decisions for yourself. And over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of personal sovereignty that has been stripped away from us as women, and it's felt entirely disempowering for a lot of people. No matter where you sit in, in whatever camp you sit in, there's been a lot of that's been stripped away from us. And more recently in America with the, the abortion things that are going on. Personal power is about not giving your power away to others. So one of the greatest ways that we give our power away to others is through not having boundaries, through not advocating for our needs, through not speaking into our desires, through making assumptions about other people, through just giving our power away to others to determine who we are, what we're capable of, X, Y, and Z. And we'll talk more about that in the next couple of days, probably on Thursday when we talk to plugging energy leaks. Personal power is about not being easily affected and swayed by outside forces and opinions. So it's really about standing rooted in your truth, in your knowing, in your strength, in your conviction, without being the analogy I always give is like, it's just like flapping about in the wind, like, oh yeah, I believe that. Da, da, da. It's about really calling upon discernment and decisiveness of like, I know who I am, I know what my values are, I know what I stand for, I am unwavering in this belief, I am unwavering in my opinions. Does that put the fear in a lot of people? When I start talking to this, do you think, oh my God, I'm going to upset people? People aren't going to like me. That sounds really bossy. That sounds really da-da-da. Okay, good. Because that can be one of the fears that really holds us back from stepping into our power is it's seen as, it's seen as bossy. It's seen as mean. It's seen as bitchy. It's seen of all of the things. And when it's not used in a clean way, yes, to all of those things. We've seen a lot of ways in which power has been used in a really destructive, traumatic way. And so we get to practice discernment between those two of like what really like healthy, strong, discerning integrity power looks like. I feel like I should call upon some movie characters or something and give you some examples, but I can't think of any right now. And personal power allows us to look within to the source of our power to be, do, and have everything we want. And that is one of the things that I really want you to take away is that everything resides within. Everything that you want to create the life that you want, to have the, things that you want in your life, it resides within. So we've got to stop looking outside of us to circumstances to change, or to, when I'm finally in a relationship, then I'll feel worthy, or when I finally have this X amount of money, or when my business is turning over X amount of revenue, then I'll feel powerful. And this is a trap that I still catch myself in myself. And it's one that really takes a lot of just coming back to center, noticing the pattern, bringing yourself back, noticing the pattern, bringing yourself back. So I don't want you to be under the illusion that doing this work around personal power, it means that you're perfect and you never stumble and you never get triggered and you never waver. That's simply not the truth. But it's about how quickly can you bring yourself back? How quickly can you notice that you've wobbled and bring yourself back? And that's what I'll talk a lot about, leadership and self-leadership in the next couple of days. And that's what leadership is really about, is like, whoops, shit's hit the fan. How do I bring myself back? Oops, I've been triggered. How do I bring myself back? Oops, I don't like what that person said. How do I bring myself back? Because it's not about all the things that are happening, because all of that is outside of our control. Most of life is outside of our control. A lot of life is outside of our control. But what do we do about it? What do we do when someone has said the thing that we don't like or we don't agree with? What do we do when circumstances, when we go for the promotion and we don't get it? What do we do when, the boyfriend breaks up with us? That's where we really get to step into our power and make choices from a place of alignment and congruency and integrity and trust, self-trust. I'm just going to check the chat. I've heard people comment about my daughter when she was 2 years old that she was already so bossy. Yeah. You wait. And that's a lot of, that is a lot of what has been really harmful for women, is these societal constructs and depictions around what, women are, or what bossiness is, or what anger is. And, women can't be angry, and women can't be bossy, and women can't be assertive, and women can't be X, Y, and Z. And often those constructs are created by men who fear women's power, who have not learned how to hold space for women's power. And so that doesn't need to be reason that we don't get to fully embody that and be the ripple effect that creates that in other women. Everyone's going to have an opinion. And that's where we get to call upon our discernment when people give us feedback about who we are. We get to practice discernment of, does that feel true for me? Or is that just one person's projection? Because projections, if we choose to carry them in our rucksack, they can be crippling. I'm sure you can all think about a time or a circumstance where someone has told you who you are, or what you are, or what your behavior is, and it's felt really painful. And things can only trigger us, and things can only feel painful if part of us believes them to be true. And so if someone calls us bossy, or if someone calls us, oh, you're so angry. I used to get that a lot. You're so angry. And I had created a belief that anger equals bad, versus actually going, yeah, I am angry. My anger is actually justified in this moment. I feel like my boundaries have been overstepped. I feel like I'm not being listened to. I feel like, X, Y, and Z. Of course I'm angry. And it's okay. But it's, what am I doing with that anger? Am I projecting it onto someone else and making them bad or wrong? Or am I using this to stand more firmly in my boundaries and to advocate for my needs and to make choices that are in alignment with my highest good and with my values? So feedback is really interesting on, you're so bossy, you're so this, you're so that, you're so this. And that book that I mentioned at the beginning, I think it's called Unbound. God, I really need to look that up. It talks to this. Is that what it's called? Yes, A Woman's Guide to Power, Unbound, by Kasia Urbaniak. Fantastic book. She says in the book, when someone asks you a question like that feels really triggering, of or someone makes a statement of you're so bossy, you're so this, you're so that, ask a question, direct the power backwards. Because so often we can get triggered and we can react and we can break down, or we can leave the conversation. But if we can stand in our power and just say, what made you say something like that? Or what inspired you to ask that question? Or what about this is making you uncomfortable? That in itself is us just standing in our self-agency. So what takes away from our personal power? So many things. One of the main ones is unintegrated shame. So unintegrated, unalchemized shame, having shame. So shame is akin to embarrassment over things from our past. And as I say that, you might be sitting here thinking, oh, I don't have shame. It's not really something that I feel. But so many of us have had shameful experiences in our past, which today, so many years later, we don't think, oh, that's not affecting me today, but it is. If we were to dig a little bit deeper, and this is what I do inside Selfish, and with, building self-awareness, we start to go back and go, So to give you some examples, my last name, for example, Squelch. It's not the most, feminine or pretty last name. I used to get teased a lot for that at school. I got teased for my eyebrows being too thin. I got teased for what I wore to. Shelley went to my school, so she may or may not remember any of this. I got called pizza face because I had acne. I got, I wore some crazy outfits to my school dance. There were so many situations where I was, lightly bullied that created a lot of shame in me, because as a kid, we don't have the faculty to stand in our power and to stand in our sovereignty and say, like, hey, that's actually not true. We absorb everything. We take it all on board. We make meaning out of everything, because as humans, we are meaning-making systems. It's what we do to survive. And so I made meaning out of it, of my last name is to be ashamed of, my face is to be ashamed of, my clothing is to be ashamed of, and, just so many other things. That was just one very small snapshot of the things that I could be ashamed of. My parents being divorced, me going to a rich private girls' school and not having any money, me taking a moldy sandwich to lunch one day and my mum. Anyway, so many things. And what happens with this shame, and shame is the lowest vibrating emotion we can possibly hold. It's on a frequency right down the bottom of the emotion scale with guilt, and it vibrates at a frequency of sort of 20 megahertz, which is super, super, super low. Enlightenment is up at 400. And so shame lives in our bones, it lives in our cells. And we project that out onto the world about who we are and about what that means about us. So I became someone who was embarrassed of her appearance, who would never wear anything too weird because I didn't want to get teased. I would, anyway. And then growing up as an adult, when you have a belief about yourself of like, my worth, my popularity is determined on how I look, you look for evidence in everything to back that up. So, the boyfriend cheated on me at 14 and left me for my best friend. That's because of my appearance. Whatever circumstances happen as an adult, boyfriend's cheating or not getting the job, or the boy not texting you back on the dating app, whatever. We try to gather evidence to back up that ingrained belief that started in childhood, where we took on that feeling of shame. So that was a very long and roundabout way. I'm trying to condense it as much as possible, of saying that shame reduces us down into a version of ourselves which actually isn't the truth. So we start to create these walls around ourselves of like, I don't want other women to hurt me. And so I had a lot of trouble trusting other women, trusting female friendships as I grew up, because of the bullying that happened as a kid. And so we build these defenses around us of like, I don't want to feel that shame again. I don't want to feel less than. And so I just won't allow myself to get close to other women. And then I won't trust female bosses. And then I won't trust my mother. And then it has this kind of flow-on effect. And so we reduce ourselves down to be a accessible, amenable, palatable version of ourselves for other people, so that we won't get picked on, so that we won't get teased. Can everyone resonate with that? Yeah. I feel like it's kind of a human rite of passage of getting bullied at some point in our life. And it doesn't have to be by girls. Rebecca, I think your history was more around being bullied by boys at school. And again, that can create its own flow-on effect of like, I don't want to date because I don't want someone to, and feel embarrassed about me or whatever it is. So that takes away from our personal power. You can see why, right? Shrink down. And then we want to fit in, because our greatest desire as humans is to belong. And so how can I belong? I'll make my hair look like everybody else's. I'll make my booty look like the girls on Instagram. I'll get Botox so I don't have wrinkles, so no one can possibly tease me about my face. I'll do X, Y, and Z. And then we move so far away from who we actually are. We become this version of ourselves that like, who the fuck even am I? I've so long just been dog paddling, trying to keep up and trying to like be this person who won't get teased and will get loved and will fit in, that I've moved so far away from who I am. I struggle to trust myself. I struggle to tap into my intuition because I've ignored it for so long. I don't have discernment over what is right and wrong and what is good for me and what is not good for me, because for so long I've just been, in that dog paddling energy of trying to not get teased. So shame takes a lot away from our personal power. Sister wounds is another big one as well. So I kind of spoke to that of, getting teased at school, or having a boss that was a bully, or perhaps having a fractured relationship with your mother can create these sister wounds. And sister wounds is about having a lack of trust in other women. And it's also about having a lack of trust in our own internal feminine. So if we don't trust our own internal feminine energy, we all have masculine and feminine energy, we may put up a masculine wall in order to protect our heart. Yeah. And ultimately, your deepest shame is the source of your greatest power. So in all of the areas of my life where I have felt the deepest shame, being 38, single, no baby, X, Y, and Z, I've turned that into my greatest power. Hello. Because when we just allow this shame to sit on our shoulders, we are carrying that into everything. We're carrying that into every interaction. It lives with us, right? Wherever we go, there we are. And so it is our responsibility. It may not be our fault that we have shame, or we have these wounds, or we have daddy issues, or whatever it is. It may not be our fault, but it is our responsibility. And it is our birthright to feel free and to feel unburdened and to feel unencumbered of all of this kind of unalchemized shit and trauma and wounding that we're carrying around. And that is, that's what we all signed up for, is to come here to have this human experience and to alchemize everything that we have experienced along the way for our greatest healing, for our greatest evolution. Simone, I know you're reading You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, which is just a mwah book that really speaks to this. What else takes away from our personal power? Does anyone have any other ideas? There's so many. Lack of boundaries. Having parents who didn't validate our emotions, and so we don't actually know how to express our emotions. We don't feel like having emotions is valid. Any kind of trauma from our past can take away from our personal power. Perhaps, either having a parent who didn't show us enough love or attention or validation, or perhaps having a parent who was absent, perhaps having a parent who had their own addiction issues, or, whatever it is. So many things that can take away from that. And we get to remember that our source of power is infinite. It's always there. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's not a resource that has been drained. It's just been redirected to other things. I've left some power in that relationship. I've left some power with that boss who bullied me. I've left some power with my mum where I have a codependent relationship. I've left some power with that person who I allowed to, dictate who I was and what I should do, and da da da. So we just kind of disperse that power out. And so this work that we're doing about reclaiming our personal power is just about pulling all of that back to us. And someone mentioned at the beginning our solar plexus, and our solar plexus is our chakra which resides just above our navel, and that is where our personal power resides. And often when we feel powerless, when we feel wobbly, as if our life isn't moving in the direction that we want it to, we might notice stomach aches, or we might notice bloating in the stomach, because that's where that chakra resides and that energy center gets really blocked. And so this work is about just reclaiming all of that power, cutting energetic cords to people, circumstances, situations that have taken that power away from you. And you have given that power away too, because we get to take personal responsibility for this, right? Of we gave that power away. Not only did someone take it from us, but we gave it. And so personal ownership and responsibility and accountability is really important in this work, because the opposite of that is being the victim and saying, this happened to me, this always happens to me, I am a victim of my circumstances, versus how did I allow this to happen? How did I create this? From a place of compassion, from a place of I love you so much, I'm never going to let this happen to you again. It makes perfect sense that you're feeling the way that you're feeling given what has happened to you. And we're going to learn from this. We're going to not allow this to happen again. Compassion is a really important piece of this work as we're digging up really heavy stuff and we're digging up all of these kinds of triggers and wounds and shadow aspects of ourself that are perhaps not desirable and palatable. Having compassion and kindness and understanding and forgiveness for ourselves in the process is so important. There's so much power in that. It's not weakness, I promise. So we cannot have self-leadership without building our self-awareness muscles. And something tells me that because you're all here, you value self-awareness, you already have self-awareness, and it's just continuing to expand the more that you're getting in these rooms and, doing this work. Some of you have been in my programs, and so you're well on your path of building self-awareness. But self-awareness is really the precursor to self-leadership. It's the precursor to self-love. It's the precursor to self-acceptance. When we can become aware of something, a pattern within us or a wound within us or a trigger within us, and then we can move into a place of acceptance of like, I don't like this, but I'm willing to accept it. From that place of acceptance, then we can start to love the part of us that chose that. I don't like it, but I love this. And then from that place, what am I doing next? What am I choosing next? What am I choosing for myself? What am I taking a stand for from this place? That's self-leadership. So self-awareness all the way up to self-leadership. So what is self-awareness? Why is it important? And I say this a lot to my clients. It's like, it's noticing the noticing. It's meta, right? It's imagining yourself, zooming up above yourself, watching yourself. So do that right now. Look down on yourself, what you're doing. And that's what we do with self-awareness, is like, oh, I just noticed that I started to get really angry when my mum said that thing. I wonder why. And then from that place of awareness, moving into curiosity of like, I wonder why I just get really panicky whenever I'm going on a date for the first time. I wonder why I get so triggered when my dad talks about money in front of me. Self-awareness and curiosity and compassion is so fundamental. So it's your ability to notice yourself with curiosity, noticing your internal world, noticing the voices in your head, noticing the negative self-talk, the criticism, the judgments that you place upon yourself. And I used to have no idea how self-critical I was. No idea. Because it's so normalized, right? It's so normalized. If you grew up in a house, and my mum just did it actually this morning, I'm staying here at the moment. I can't remember, we were having a conversation and she said, I told her she eats too much sugar, basically. And she said, oh, no, that's not a problem. My biggest problem is waking up every day and hating what I see in the mirror. I was like, that's right. I've grown up with a mother who hates her appearance. And she said that a lot throughout my upbringing. Oh, God, I look awful today. Oh, God, look at my face. I look 100 years old. And so when we are raised in that environment where that kind of feedback is normal, we develop that behavior of like, oh, criticizing myself is normal. Mum did it, so I'll do it. And it just becomes normal. It has no kind of emotional charge, but we don't actually see what's happening beneath the surface is it's impacting our sense of self-worth. It's impacting our ability to give ourselves self-kindness and self-appreciation and to really like have our own back, to be our greatest cheerleader. So it strips away from that. And that thing that is seemingly so innocuous, you don't even notice it until you notice it. And you go, oh, and that is self-awareness. When you start to notice, oh, that probably wasn't healthy. That probably wasn't a healthy environment to grow up in. Oh, okay, it makes perfect sense that I then got teased at school about my thin eyebrows and my pizza face. It makes perfect sense that I then became really protective over my face. It makes perfect sense. Oh my gosh, Anna, I'm so sorry that I put you through so much. I'm never going to do that again. I've got you. Self-kindness from here on out. Can you see that kind of like journey of like self-awareness to noticing, to changing the behavior, to coming into acceptance? So It's also about creating space. Self-awareness is about creating space. I realize I've gone over. So start thinking about your questions and then feel free to pop them in the chat and then I'll get to them very soon. It's about creating space between your trigger and your response. Who here feels as if sometimes they're really reactive and they just react with something without actually and go, holy shit, where did that come from? And it doesn't feel good. Yeah. And if we practice anything enough times, it becomes just like a pattern, right? We master anything if we practice it 10,000 hours. And so the more that we practice being reactive, because we haven't had the awareness to go, okay, something's happening here in my body. When someone says this thing or when someone talks about this topic, I start to notice this kind of like heat in my body. I start to notice myself get angry and agitated and I want to leave the room. I wonder where this came from. I wonder what is actually happening here. I wonder why I have this sense to, react. And so the more that we can create that space and widen that space between someone doing something that triggers us and us saying, you're a fucking asshole, and actually just sitting with it and going, why am I getting so upset here? I'm noticing some anger rising in my body. I'm just going to sit here and breathe into it. From that place, just taking that moment, extending that space, we have the power to respond differently. I'm just going to take myself away. I'm just going to leave the room, regather my thoughts, go for a walk, phone a friend, and then I'm going to come back to the situation from a place of having my power back. Doesn't that feel so much better than just like flying off the handle and going into that reactivity, which seems like a power that just takes over our entire body? And that's only because we're not giving ourselves that space to, I'm just going to pause. I'm just going to breathe into this and just kind of like notice what's happening in my body. And this is emotional intelligence. This is what emotional intelligence is becoming, it's kind of in the name, becoming intelligent about our emotions. Rather than making our emotions bad or wrong or just acting confused of like, oh, I don't know why that happened, or I don't know why I flew off the handle, or blah. Actually being curious and going, I wonder what's going on here. I wonder why my body is responding, because our emotions are feedback, right? They are responding. They're either responding to not being listened to, they're responding to a stimulus which feels overpowering. They're responding to a dysregulated nervous system which can't hold whatever is happening in the environment. And so emotional intelligence is about giving ourselves time, giving ourselves presence, asking the questions, being curious about our experience. There's so much power in that. So much of this work we think is about like fixing and like excavating, and I just want to write out all of these limiting beliefs and I just want to like overhaul everything, rather than just approaching curiosity. There's so much power in that. Asking the questions of yourself. I wonder what this is. We are so wise. We are so wise. We have all of the answers. We know exactly what is going on. Our intuition is always on point. We're just not giving it the environment to thrive by asking the right questions, by having patience, by having presence. So emotional intelligence, it's about honoring the human in you as well. Sometimes your emotions are going to be all over the place. It's going to be an absolute shit show. It's going to be wild. That was Sunday for me, which was 2 days ago. So that doesn't mean that I'm lacking emotional intelligence. That doesn't mean that I'm not doing the work. That doesn't mean anything about me other than my humanness had a moment. I needed to just be with what was arising at that time. And so it's about honoring the human in you, not knowing that this isn't going to be perfect. And leaders are emotionally intelligent, meaning that they process and alchemize their experience as they go. So rather than being a passive participant to life, you play an active role in the co-creation that is coming through you. So, okay, I'm noticing what's arising to the surface. What am I choosing here? Where do I need better boundaries in my life? Where do I need better discernment? Where do I need to clean up some energy leaks? Where am I not backing myself? Where do I not have my own back? Where am I making a meaning out of this or a story disempowering stories which perhaps aren't serving where I want to be going. And you stay present to your triggers. So you don't allow the trigger to just overtake you. And one of the things that we tend to do a lot is if we are feeling a particular emotion, a heavier emotion, we want to move through it as quickly as possible. We want that emotion gone as quickly as possible. You've just broken up with your boyfriend. You're sad. You don't want to feel sad. So you go out partying. You go and get drunk. You go and eat the ice cream. You go and buy a new dress. And we try and circumvent that emotion rather than actually going into it and be like, yeah, I just need to feel this. I just need to process this, and the stories that are coming up about you're not good enough. It's because you're not pretty enough. It's because X, Y, and Z. And just allowing those stories to come to the surface, notice them, love them, integrate them back into wholeness. So it's about staying present to your triggers, questioning how you can show up bigger, not letting all of these moments define you, constantly attuning to your environment and checking in with your vision. Does this feel aligned? Is this the direction I want to be going in? Am I giving my power away right now? Am I making meaning out of something where there doesn't need to be? It's about holding space for yourself and your experience, for the big feels, for the growing pains, for all of it. We don't get to cherry pick the bits of life that we want. It's about how can I hold all of this? I get to hold the joy and the pain. I get to hold the love and the heartbreak. Get to hold the certainty and the uncertainty all at the same time. And so when things don't go to plan, or when they don't turn out as you had planned, you get to ask yourself the big questions. And this is what builds emotional intelligence. Big questions like, how did I contribute to this? Where is there a misalignment here? Where was I perhaps not listening to my intuition? How has this come in my life to actually expand my awareness, or to build a bigger container? What is here for me? Rather than, why is this happening to me? What does this mean about me? Why am I not there yet? Da 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 da. It's just, okay, this is happening. This didn't turn out how I wanted it to, and what am I going to do with it? How am I going to use this? And a big piece of this is being unattached to the outcome of things and trusting in the bigger plan for your life. We do not have control over our destiny. We just get to show up to our assignment that we're given with grace and with power and with trust and with discernment, and being unattached to the outcome. Because when we fixate on how something needs to turn out or how someone needs to be, we give all of our power away to circumstances that are not within our control. Versus what is within your control in life, which is, how do I take care of me? How am I growing me? How am I building a more regulated nervous system to take care of things that don't go right? So putting all of your energy onto the things that you actually can't control, like whether someone's going to break up with you or not, whether you're going to get the money in your business or not, whether the borders are going to open up in Bali or not, like putting all of your energy in that, and like, I'll be happy when I can go to Bali. I'll be happy when I'm in a relationship. I'll be happy when I'm earning 6 figures in my business. That's outside of your control. But what will determine those outcomes, is what you do right now today. How am I showing up for myself today? How am I nurturing myself today? What beliefs am I allowing to be in my experience today? How am I working on my triggers and my wounds today? The human who has emotions and gets confused and needs support and has up days and down days and everything in between, that is emotional intelligence. It's all of you. It's all facets of you, the good, the bad, the ugly. Can you be growth orientated but still honor the human in you along the way? Honor the human who doesn't know and who feels confused and who sometimes fears that things aren't going to work out how she wants to. Can you honor all of it? The excitement for the things panning out, and then the fear that they might not. So I think I've got a little bit more to go, but I think I'll weave it into tomorrow. What I really want this to be, and you're all here for the same thing, which is consistent growth. You didn't just sign up for like, I just want to grow for like a month and then I'm done. Like, then my work is done. You're here for consistent growth. And so with consistent growth, it's about knowing that not every season needs to be about consistent growth. If we are constantly growing, if we are constantly striving for the, I just want to overcome this hurdle and I just want to eradicate this limiting belief and I just want to da 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 da, we've got to also make room for the celebration. Like, and this is something I constantly practice now because it's so powerful, is like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the way that you showed up for today. I'm so proud of all of the things that you got done today. Oh my God, I'm so proud. One person joined your mailing list. Oh my God, someone signed up for your program. Oh my God, you had that conversation with your mum that felt really difficult. I'm so proud of you. Because we are waiting for people to approve of us, and this might just be me because I'm a projector, but we're waiting for people to approve of us and validate us and tell us that we're okay and we're loved and we belong and blah, 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 blah. But we also get to do that for ourselves. The more that we can show up and celebrate ourselves, even in the like shit times and even when things feel like they're not where we want them to be yet, that energy of gratitude, that energy of celebration is what creates the actions that will lead up to that place. Do you see what I mean? Don't wait to get to that place when things are in line, where things are where you want them to be, to celebrate. Celebrate now because it feels good. And the choices that you make in 15 minutes, if you celebrate yourself right now, are going to be very different than the choices that you would make in 15 minutes if you were sitting here and, why am I not there yet? Everything sucks. So be in that energy of gratitude and celebration now. That's available to all of us. We don't need to wait for we don't need to wait for evidence in order to feel like we can celebrate. And so not every season needs to be about consistent growth. Many of our seasons are just going to be about like play and just tapping back into joy and integrating and having fun and being a little bit rebellious and not needing to do all the heavy work all of the time. It's exhausting. So how do you build greater emotional intelligence? By living life. It's just about living life. By being present, by going on dates with people you maybe shouldn't go on dates with, by prioritizing connection to yourself and to others, by realizing that relationships, both platonic and romantic, are our biggest pathways to growth and evolution. You want to grow faster? Put yourself in front of more people. Do things that scare you more. Play a bigger game. Expand your current container. Expand your current environment. We grow emotional intelligence by rising above our circumstances and not falling victim to them. So taking the lesson, moving on, taking the lesson, moving on, taking the lesson, moving on. Constantly asking the question, what is here for me to learn? Why is this so painful? What is here for me to learn? Where am I not showing up for myself fully? And then noticing and celebrating your growth along the way, even the tiniest things that you don't feel are even worthy of celebration. One of my mentors, she bought herself this massive arrangement of balloons on day one of her business. When she started her business, she didn't have any money coming in yet. She didn't have any clients coming in yet. But she was like, fuck yes, I'm celebrating just starting the business. So can we just celebrate for no reason at all? When you are on a growth trajectory, you are constantly recalibrating to a new frequency. Your container to hold more is getting bigger. Your new normal is becoming different. So the more practiced you become in setting boundaries, for example, it's like, that's my new normal. That thing used to be really fucking scary, but now that was easy. That's my new normal. And that's because you're recalibrating to a new frequency of someone who can hold more, for someone who is deeper in her self-leadership, who is reclaiming her personal power. When things start to feel easy, that's when you need to take bigger moves, take bigger action, lean into the next thing. We don't get complacent. We don't sit in. I was just talking to my client before this, and she's like, I just had a 10K month the other month, and then I just decided that's enough. And so then I just got lazy for the next few weeks. Because we put limits on and caps on our potential of like, this feels good. Yeah, this is good enough. I'm just going to put my feet up here versus this feels really fucking good. Imagine how much greater it could feel. Oh my God, imagine what my next edge is if this is my new normal. If 10K months are now my new normal, what else is possible? I can't wait for my 50K months to feel like my 10K months. What do I need to do today? Who do I need to embody? Who do I need to be in order for that to become my new normal? Yeah. This is happening for all of you. Every moment you are recalibrating to a new frequency, but are you present to it all? Are you noticing it? Are you celebrating yourself because you know it's happening, but you don't have the evidence yet, but you know it's happening? I know you do this, Rebecca, like the future visioning and like sitting in that vision of just like, oh my God, I'm so proud of future me. It feels so good. She is a boss. Like, and really allowing that to just penetrate your cells, knowing that it's here right now. It's already available to you. It's just on a different timeline to where you are right now, but it's on its way. So I'll end with this thing and then I'll start answering questions. But it's more of the light, more of the shade, more of it all. It's just welcoming it all, welcoming all of the human experience. We don't get to cherry pick the things that we want. We just welcome it all, knowing that the challenges and the shitty things and the setbacks are helping to build our personal power, are helping to build our emotional intelligence and resilience, and to make us more aware of ourselves. So that's it. God, 52 minutes, pauses. I need a electrolyte and I'm just going to go into your questions. So you can either take yourself off mute. I just want to make myself available to you to give hot seat coaching for anyone who wants, oh God, who has questions, or just to answer anything that has come up from that training. And then that's just day one. We've still got 2 days to go. Was that helpful? I saw lots of notes being taken. I take that as a good sign. Lots of head nods. Yeah, the projector in me is waiting for the head nod moment. Do you have any tips on how to reframe your mindset or set belief that I am a reactive person? How to reframe to tell ourselves a different belief? Okay, beautiful. Let me take a sip. Whoa. Okay, so Simone has the belief I am a reactive person. So step number one is telling a different story, right? If we tell ourselves the story, so Oprah Winfrey says, whatever we say after I am will come chasing us. Whatever we say after I am will come chasing us. And so if we tell the story, either in our head or out loud to people, I am a reactive person. I am bossy. I am so in my masculine. I am terrible with money. I am addicted to sugar. I am whatever. It doesn't matter. The more that we tell that story, it becomes a spoken manifestation. It becomes a spoken meditation. We're speaking that into existence. We're not leaving room for that to be there, to be a different reality than the one that you're speaking into. And so it starts with telling a different story. Adding in some words to that can be helpful. So I am learning to be less reactive, or I am learning to be more grounded in my response. I am learning to is really powerful, because it means that things are in motion. It means that things are moving. You're moving out of who you were. So that would be step one, is telling a different story, because that's not the truth of who you are. That's like people who say, I am anxious. They're not anxious. They experience anxious thoughts. I am experiencing anxious thoughts right now. Doesn't mean they'll be here tomorrow. Doesn't mean they'll be here 6 months from now. It's just right now in this moment, I'm experiencing this. So breaking up with the belief that that defines us. And then my second part of this would be exploring and getting curious about the reactivity. So, okay, why do I feel this way about myself? And how do I know this to be true? Is it because someone has told me that? Therefore, do I want to be discerning with that feedback and actually check in with, is this true? Or is this just someone's projection of me based on me having an opinion? I lost my second thought. What was it? That's the first thing. The second thing is, how do I know this to be true? it's because I snap back at someone when X, Y, and Z. And so just get curious about that. Why am I getting triggered by this thing? What is it bringing up within me? Why is there an emotional activation here which seems to outweigh the actual thing that's happened? Getting curious about why. Naming it in your body. I'm starting to feel angry. I'm starting to feel really resentful about this thing. Like naming it, locating it in your body. It's in my heart, or it's in my solar plexus, or it feels like it's in my head. Like just getting really attuned to where in your body that's taking place and just witnessing it. Being the observer of that next time it happens and just asking yourself some questions from a place of curiosity will give you so much information. I could sit here and tell you, oh, just get your journal out and like write down, I am a whatever person. And like maybe, maybe that might work for you. I don't know. But I think just being curious about it, witnessing, observing, noticing, and then choosing a different choice. I'm just going to walk away right now. I'm just going to and then also nervous system regulation, making that a priority. When we're reactive, it tends to be because we have an overstimulated nervous system. And so doing more breath work, doing more meditation, resting more, taking time off when you've got your period or in the lead up to your period so that you're not, sometimes we're reactive because we're simply just so strung out. We haven't been listening to our body. Does that help? Yay. Anyone else? Questions, comments, requests for day 2?
I think what my I think some of the things that are coming up for me are maybe what you might cover tomorrow. But what seemed to resonate through like this lovely hour has been more about like blocks, like noticing where I like get resistance. And a lot of them come down to like self-confidence and admitting I want something different to what I have, or allowing myself to think bigger. So I guess like those like sort of potential caps and things. So, and tomorrow would you maybe more go into ways of unlocking?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let me take a note of that. Whoa. Okay, day 2 is big. So unlocking resistance. Feelings of resistance to things. Yeah. Do you have an example of like a specific example of something that you feel resistance towards? Because that can hold so much.
Yes. One of the things I've
Joining selfish. Is that what it is?
Not yet. One of the things I've been noticing a lot is I emotionally eat quite a lot. And I notice it's always when I'm tired. So instead of taking a rest, I generally then reach for some food, and I'm noticing my intuition is speaking to me more, saying, you're reaching for this because you're wanting something else, but it's easy and it's default. But I'm struggling to I guess have the confidence to change, but even though like those words are there and they're getting louder.
I don't think it's a confidence thing. I don't think it's that you don't have the confidence to change. I think it's that there's a tool missing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a tool missing. But I want you to celebrate the fact that you have the awareness. You're like, I'm noticing that I'm reaching for this food when I'm tired. Like yes. that is 80% of the work. Yeah. Done. Right there. You can't, it's very hard to teach someone self-awareness.
Yeah.
And so that's it. And then asking yourself the question, so directing the focus inwards. So the focus right now is on the food, directing it inwards and going, what am I actually hungry for? Because, and I share this in Selfish, but I had an association when I was a kid of mum would be gone for long stretches of the day and I'd be lonely, and then she would come home and bring something sugary. And so I created an association between sugar equals comfort, sugar equals love, sugar equals comfort. And so whenever I'm feeling lonely, whenever I'm feeling anything, I reach for the sugar because I think that it's giving me comfort. So if you can ask yourself the question, what am I actually hungry for? And then go, do I want attention? Do I want affection? Do I want that? Do I want this? And then how can I give myself something in this moment? And perhaps it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna like rub my arms and see if that changes anything. I'm just gonna sit here and do 6 minutes of breath work and see how that feels and see if I still want to reach for that thing. Sometimes it can be a nutritional deficiency. If it's sometimes when it's sugar, we're lacking magnesium. So looking at these kinds of things as well. And then can I have something on hand which is a healthier alternative?
Yes.
Because emotional eating is normal. Like, I just want everyone to know that emotional eating is normal. Like, it's okay. Often what's detrimental is the story that we tell ourselves about that thing. And then when something is forbidden, we want it even more. And so can you just normalize emotional eating? And perhaps that reduces a bit of the charge that you have with it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And then also maybe looking at, why am I tired? What can I be doing for myself to not be so tired?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to prioritize some, or no, not trying, I am prioritizing some earlier bedtimes.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Anything else from anyone before we wrap up? Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Beautiful, beautiful people. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll put up a thread in the free community for any questions, any kind of flow on comments that come from this. So yeah, just jump in there, share, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Bye.